Hey guys, Mike here with Trail 7, and I'm so excited to bring you a special treat today. We have an Alpine i509-WRA-JK, and we're going to show you how easy this thing is to install into your Jeep and what Trail 7 is going to do for you. Alright guys, as you can see here, this thing is beautiful looking. This is specifically designed for your Jeep JK. It has a bezel that integrates with the Jeep. If you're looking for a premium multimedia receiver, this is Alpine's i509-WRA-JK. This is water resistant. This is an HD 9-inch screen. This has the ability for 2 cameras as well as an in-cabin camera. This thing has so many options. If you have the Alpine system already in your Jeep with the sub and the amplifier, this comes pre-tuned for that stereo system to make your system sound unbelievable straight out of the box. One of the best features about this is that Trail 7 is going to build this for you as a plug-and-play bundle, so when you receive it, what you see is what you get. This is going to come with the chassis assembled, the brackets assembled, the screen attached. All the wires are going to be connected. Your Maestro is going to be flashed. This out of the box is ready to go into your Jeep. So we're going to provide a pre-cut dash, so you don't need to worry about cutting the dash. We're going to take care of that for you. We're going to show you how easy this thing is to get installed to your JK and how amazing this is. So a couple of tools that you're going to need. Go ahead and grab a little handsaw. Grab one with fine teeth. It's going to make cutting this little piece of plastic easier. There's a small little piece of plastic that right in between the dash that does need to come out. Again, try to find something with little roll fine teeth. I always recommend a magnet stick because those little screws are going to fall down. So go ahead and grab yourself a retractable magnet stick. That thing is going to come in handy, trust me. A panel removal tool and a 7mm socket. All these tools can be picked up at a local hardware store. They're very simple tools, very easy to pick up. So the first step of installation is disassembly, of course. We're going to show you a clip from a prior install, and we'll be right back to get this installed into your Jeep. And that starts with removal of this lower dash panel. So it's one piece under here, and if you put your fingers right underneath the steering column, you can just pull straight at you and lower all the way down and slide it out towards you. Go ahead and set this piece aside. Behind the panel, there are 2 screws that you need to remove. One is here and one is here. With a 9/32 socket wrench, we're going to go ahead and remove those. Remove the other one. Hey, recommendation on all of these screws that you take out from your dash, go ahead and drop them in your cup holder. We're of course going to need those for reassembly. There's one more on the dashboard here. There's a total of 4 of these screws. 2 under the dash, 1 up on top here, and there's 1 behind the window switches. Recommend a panel remover right underneath the window switch panel. It pops right out. Behind here, it's a 2-way lock. Push that up, lock that down, and it'll pull right out. After you disconnect that, go ahead and store that in the cup holder. And then there you'll find the 4th screw to install. After that's out, you're ready to remove the full dash panel. Recommend go ahead and lowering your steering wheel all the way down. Makes it a lot easier to navigate around. And you can reach up on the left side behind the speaker lever and right up front here, and you'll see it pulls right out. Now that we have the dash apart, you'll see there are 4 screws surrounding the stock head unit. Once you have the screws out, to get this out, just pull it straight out at you. A little bit of wiggling, and it'll come right out. Once this is out, the head unit has 4 factory connectors. And these will pop right out with the pressing in the tab, the safety lock tab in the back. There you go. All right, the stock unit is out. The next part that needs to happen here is to remove this lower panel. What a recommendation though is to make it easier to go ahead and put the vehicle into drive. So with that, I'm going to put the parking brake on, turn the auxiliary on, and put it into drive. So the reason for that is to remove this panel here. And similar to the panel that's under the dashboard, just pull the top tabs straight out. There's a Uconnect box that not all are equipped with stock. However, if yours is, you're going to want to remove a cable that's connected to that. Again, with the 9/32 socket wrench, there are 2 screws mounting the Uconnect box in here. One's on the bottom and one's up top. What I recommend for this bottom piece, there's a little screw in here that's a little hard to reach. What I recommend is having a magnet strip or a pair of small needle nose pliers. If that screw falls in there, which I'm sure it will, I'll be able to get that out with my little magnet stick here. You're removing the Uconnect box, you want to remove the USB. The smaller one is the USB, which we're going to use. We're going to use that in order to install a new USB cable, and that's going to allow you to use your factory USB port for charging purposes. So this cable is included in your bundle. It may be easier to go ahead and disconnect it in order to be able to fish it down into the console here. So we're going to continue pulling this cable all the way through to remove the slack from down below. Go ahead and connect the cable that you've installed to the factory cable that was plugged into your Uconnect box. And there's plenty of room back behind here to pull all of the access cable up into the back area of where the head unit will set. All right guys, as you can see, the disassembly is done. Very easy to do. The only thing that needs to be assembled for the new pieces going into the Jeep is removing the air vents from the old dash and transferring them over to the new pieces. This is the piece that's provided to you. It's the cut dash. We're going to give that to you in your bundle. And this is the dash piece that wraps around the head unit. So I'll show you how to remove the air vents and transfer them over to the new pieces. So each one of the vents has this little tab right here. You're going to push this tab in. The tab is located right to the bottom of where the screen would be. So it's this tab right here. And on the other side, it's this tab right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to push in on this tab as you twist it. So go ahead and push here and twist just like that. See how that twists over? And then this just pushes right out. Bing, bing. This one is up inside the top of the dash here. A little bit of a tight spot, but it's easy to get out. The air vents are out. Go ahead and hang on to this. This is your stock piece. I mean, this is a great thing about buying the bundle from Trail 7 is we go ahead and we provide a cut piece for you. If you ever want to revert back to stock, factory, to a different head unit, you have this piece, so just hang on to it. For these, it's the same thing, but backwards. You're just going to place that into the vent, into the slot here. And just give it a twist, and it's going to snap right back into place. Do that for the other two. So you want to put it to where Jeep is showing at about a 10, 11 o'clock. And there's a little groove right here that this will slide right into. So push it down, and then from the back side, twist it. As you can see, you have Jeep is on the top. All right, as you can see, the old head unit has been completely removed. The Uconnect has been disconnected. I want to make note of disconnecting the Uconnect. Make sure that you disconnect it completely. Don't leave any of the connections attached to it. Disconnect it completely so it doesn't cause any sort of interference with the phone once you connect, or else it will. It'll try to connect while your phone is trying to connect. So remove the connections, the wires from the Uconnect completely. All right, here we go. So this is the one piece of plastic that does need to be cut out. The new head unit fits in right where this sits, so this does need to come out. There's also a metal bracket behind here that we'll need to take out. We'll show you that in a second, but this can be completely reverted back to stock if you want to put the old head unit back in, or any other smaller DIN head unit. Just by putting the metal bracket back in, that'll hold the rear of any other head unit. You're not causing any sort of issues in the future if you want to change this out. Use a really fine tooth saw for this. This is all you need. This thing, it goes right through here. So this is the only cutting or clipping or snipping of anything that needs to happen for the install. We've taken care of everything else for you. So that's it. And now let's go ahead and get on with removing the bracket and everything else. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove this bracket. In order to do that, we need to remove this module here. Just push right up like this. It comes right off. See there's a little clip back there. And that can just be tucked away. And you're gonna remove this 7mm and this 7mm over here as well. There you go, just like that. This bracket comes out, and you can go ahead and hang on to this bracket if you want to. So in the future, if you decide you want to revert back to stock or any other head unit that needs that bracket, that's all you need. The disassembly is 100% complete. We've removed the head unit, obviously. We disconnected the Uconnect completely. Remember, disconnect that completely. We've cut the trim piece here. We removed that bracket, which you can install later on. All right, so the next step is obviously installation. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the microphone, the GPS antenna, and the OBD connection. So the microphone we're going to set right on top of the steering wheel here. That's our preferred option. With the top off, the doors off, we've had good experience with it sitting on top here without any interference of the wind. However, that cable is long enough to where if you want to run the microphone and install it up here, you can. And you can run the wire along the trim piece. If you want to run the microphone over here, you can install it anywhere you want to. We just find that it sits really well here. It's easy to install there, and we have good experience in other applications. So I'm going to show you how to install it right here. The GPS antenna, we're just going to go ahead and mount this right here. Again, there's other applications that you can install this. The wire is plenty long enough to where if you want to run it along the trim piece and up along the trim, you can install it back here if you like. Again, in other applications, we have good experience and good results with just mounting it right to the top here. So I'll show you how to do that. And the OBD connection, which is important to retain and to have all of your gauge cluster instruments show up on the screen. That wire is going to run along the dash here, and it's going to run down in the trim, and then your OBD connection is going to connect, of course, to your OBD port down here at the footwell. So we're going to show you all of that, install the head unit. Let's get on with the installation now. So we're going to go ahead and start with the OBD2. Go ahead and remove the side panel. It's already exposed here. You can just push it right out. You can feed the wire up through the bottom. Just go ahead and grab the other side. Pull it right up. You can feed it right inside here. Come right across the top of the air vent. You can continue to feed right across here. Let's go ahead and get this plugged in to the OBD port down here. There you go. One thing I'll mention about the OBD, because we do receive a lot of questions that what if I'm gonna install a tuner, or if I need to access the OBD for gauges or for codes or anything like that. You can disconnect the OBD and attach any other module you want to attach to it, and you can reconnect the OBD. It's not going to disrupt anything as far as your settings are concerned. Of course, you won't have your gauge clusters on display, but you can reattach it and disconnect as many times you like to, and it's not going to cause any disruptment of your settings. You can also get a splitter down there if you wanted to. So if you had some device that you needed to run full time, I know there's some insurance companies that have an OBD sensor that plugs in there. You can get a splitter, and you can run the other adapter as well as this adapter side by side in the splitter. So it's going to run through this little channel right here. The wire is going to run right through there, and it's going to come out the other side. You'll probably see my finger stick through just like that. And there you go. The OBD is ran over on the side here. Let's go ahead and get this microphone installed. I'm going to mount it right on top of the steering wheel. You're going to run inside this channel here, and you're going to pick it up right here. Go ahead and pull all the slack through. Alpine provided these little double-sided sticky tapes to put on the microphone pad. So go ahead and put this onto the microphone. When you're ready to attach it to the steering wheel or wherever you do, peel this side off. If you're going to put it in the steering wheel, don't do that yet. Just let this dangle down a little bit, because we want to put the dash piece on first before we attach the microphone, or else the microphone will be in the way of the dash piece. So if you're going to put it on the steering wheel, go ahead and just let this dangle down, and we'll install this after we put the dash piece as a final attachment. Next, we're going to go ahead and install the GPS antenna. Again, this wire is long enough that if you want to install it above the roll bar here, you can. Alpine does provide a sticky, like a little metal tab here that you can attach to there if you feel like going that route. And we have, great experience from installing GPS antennas right above the dash here. So we're going to go ahead and install that there. There's a rubber seal in between the windshield and the dashboard here. You're going to push that rubber seal aside, and you'll see there's a channel that goes right through. So you can feed it through this side. Just push down, and you can see the wire from this side very clearly pop down, and you can just pull it right through. Go ahead and leave the GPS antenna up here also. There's a piece of sticky tape on the side, on the back of this. I wouldn't peel it off yet. I would wait till the dash is in. You can attach this piece as well as the microphone, but that's where it's going to sit. And you can just leave this dangling, and we can clean that up at the end when we do all the wire management. So now everything is prepped, ready to go. The OBD is in, the microphone is in, the GPS is in. Let's go ahead and now install the head unit. All right, now we're going straight into head unit install. So again, this bundle that you see here, this is exactly how you're going to receive it from Trail 7. Everything is going to be attached. And we're going to attach all of the connectors that come with the head unit. A lot of these connectors are not going to be used for this install as far as what they do. So these are your RCAs. If you have a sub or an amp or something like that, that's what these are going to be used for. We go ahead and attach it to the head unit. I would just leave them in there. There are other connectors in here for backup cameras, front cameras. There's a cabin camera, which we're going to show you at a later time. Super cool add-on that you can add on to the Alpine i509. So there's many other connectors and options on here that are not going to be used for the JK installation itself. But keep them on there. You can use them later on. The microphone wire. You can go ahead and wrap this up. We can just set this aside for once we're ready to plug that in. GPS antenna. I'm going to wrap this up also, but leave it a nice loose line. You don't want to kink up the GPS line. There is a thin copper line inside here that you don't want to damage. Just a note, this gray connector here, this is a 10-pin gray connector, and it has a Mopar number on it, 523AA. That is connected to the Uconnect. As we've seen, other Jeeps have weird nuances that yours may be a different number, but just know that if you do have the factory Uconnect, this connector will not be used, and we're just going to go ahead and tuck this aside here. Let's go ahead and get the head unit installed. Just to put this out there to note this also, this long wire here that's labeled exterior button side, make sure that this is left out, because this is what's going to connect to the bezel screen. So a great way to get these items attached here is to hang this up on top here, and then you can really just start connecting your wires and what you need to from down below. So go ahead and connect the main harness connector, which is the large gray one. You're not going to use most of these connectors, but they're here for future use. So get the large connector, and here's the large connector from the OEM. Attach that. This is the mustard connector that's used for the Sirius XM. If you were going to opt for Sirius XM, there would be a separate module attached, and that's what this is going to connect to. This Jeep did have Sirius XM, so the factory head unit did have this connected to it. So in this installation, we're not using Sirius XM, so we're just going to tuck that away. This white and red connector here, this is the AM/FM. So you're going to attach the blue connector that's attached to the head unit into there. That's your AM/FM. So here's the GPS antenna port. Going to attach the GPS antenna into the port there. Here is the microphone connection. So go ahead and attach the microphone connection. So there's two more connections to make. One is for the OBD, but since that wire is pretty short coming out of the back, I need to flip this around. And the other one is for the USB. So if you had the U-connect and you disconnected that, you should have disconnected that completely, like we said. One of these connectors is marked charging. It says USB 2 for charging. You're going to attach this to the other end of the USB. What that's going to do is retain your factory USB charging port in the glove box. The other connector is for Apple CarPlay, and that wire is going to run along, and we're going to leave that in the glove box. So this unit has wireless Apple CarPlay as well as wired Apple CarPlay, which is pretty cool. So this wire is pretty long. You can run it wherever you want to run it to. We find it easiest to drop in the glove box, so that way you can just drop the glove box, attach it, and connect for if you did want wired CarPlay. Again, you can run it wherever you want to. If you wanted to get savvy and attach some sort of port on the side, you can purchase the port of your choice and drill into the side and attach your own. We've seen all sorts of creative installations. All right, like I said, now there are two more connections to make. One is the USB, and the cable to attach this to is behind the head unit, and also the OBD. So what we're going to do is go ahead and flip this around. The USB cable is here. This is going to attach to the USB that we left hanging here from the U-connect. It's right here. You want to attach that. That'll retain your factory charging port. And then also the OBD connection is right here. Ta-da! There you go. All of the connections are made. Now let's go ahead and tuck our wires back behind here. And there is plenty of space in the JK dash to fit everything that needs to fit. Leave this wire out because this is what needs to attach to the head unit or to the bezel. When you push the wires back, make sure you have this area cleared out here in between the vents, because the window control module, when you reattach the dash, it's going to sit there. If you don't have remote windows, then you'll have a little cubby, and that cubby is going to sit in this space, so you need it. And when you tuck all your wires away, don't tuck this one away, because this, of course, is your window control module adapter. All right, go ahead and get a couple of screws just to hold it in place here. Let's go ahead and get the rest of it buttoned up. Let's go ahead and get the dash piece in, and then make our two final connections. And we're pretty much almost done with this thing. Let's go ahead and get our pre-cut dash piece installed. And this is why we don't install the microphone. If you install the microphone before this, then it's probably gonna hit here. So don't install the microphone until you get this piece on. Again, we are providing this cut for you. Now we're ready to go ahead and install our bezel piece. So connect the end here that says exterior button side. There is the port right here where this is going to go into. It just pops right in. You can grab the cord as you're pushing down. Kind of grab the cord from the inside so that way it doesn't pinch. And you can just watch it in between here, make sure it's not pinching. Good. That just presses right in there. You may hear a snap, you may not. It definitely just kind of tightens right in. That looks great. That has an immediate wow factor. This really matches up well. And you know, as you can see, if you're over on this side, once you'll see that it doesn't matter about the cut because the bezel covers it right up. There's a couple things left we need to put together. Obviously, the control module here, the GPS antenna needs to be fastened down, microphone needs to be fastened down, and the little piece on the side here also needs to be snapped back into place. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and just give it a turn on and make sure that power's on at least, and then we can do a final run through. We have power. Here we go. Volume control works, gauges work, so the OBD is connected, gauges, to vehicle info. Yeah, that works. All right, let's go ahead and get it buttoned up, and then we can do a little run through and show you some of the cool high-end features. Let's go ahead and mount the microphone on top of the steering wheel here. Put it right back behind here. And this wire can tuck inside because the panel is going to cover that anyway. Again, if you don't want the microphone mounted on top of the steering wheel, that wire, as you could see, was plenty long enough. You can mount it up here if you want. This trim just comes right down, so you can tuck the wire along there. You can go up here also. You can really go anywhere you want to. Again, we just choose right there because we've run that in other applications and it works really well. Let's go ahead and get the GPS antenna now. Go ahead and peel the tape off of that, and that's just going to stick right down there. And we also need to put the trim piece back on the side over here. It's obviously going to go on backwards of how you took it off. And let's get our final piece underneath here back on. It's got a window control module. Just to note, there's a screw that you took out of the dash here when you removed the other piece. That doesn't, that's no longer needed. So you have an extra screw. That is buttoned up, and wow, that looks beautiful. That actually really looks beautiful. That fits. That is a great upgrade for your JK. Let's give this another power up here. All right, we are fully installed. Let's go ahead and show you a couple of the basic setups. First thing I'll note, in order to get into the setup, your e-brake has to be on. So if you see that e-brake is off, setup is off, put your e-brake on. It's going to flash a couple of times and your setup's going to come on. So let's go ahead and get our Bluetooth connected. Go into setup, device list, add a new device. There it is, Alpine DA. Mike tracks his phone. There we go. Hit pair. Yes. Allow. Would you like to start Apple CarPlay? Yes. Use Apple CarPlay and your phone is going to ask you. Yes. All right, so our phone is now connected. A couple things to point out. This thing comes out of the box pre-tuned for your Jeep for the sound system. So if you click this arrow up top, go into your EQ setting and go into your fade balance, your time correction. This is already dialed in, as you'll see, pointing the driver's seat as the main. And this is one of those units that I suggest spending a lot of time with. There are so many functions and so many options here, not only out of the box, but other options that you can add to it. Like I said before, the backup camera, a front trail camera, a cabin camera, which we're going to add all of these cameras coming up. There's, subs and amps, connectors, and RCAs already attached to it. So this thing is ready for upgrading. So let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. That's fantastic. And you have so much more adjustability and control with this thing. It's pretty phenomenal. One thing I'll notice also, obviously your steering wheel controls work. We've pre-flashed the Maestro, so your steering wheel controls will work. All of your factory, your functions will work, all your gauges, etc. You do have the additional gauges on the screen there. Just to show that to you, vehicle info, all of your other gauges, your vehicle info, that's all through the OBD and through the Maestro. One thing I'll note though, the volume controls, obviously you have volume here and you also have volume here. As you see here, this has the buttons and it also has the buttons on the steering wheel control. If you like the volume knobs, Alpine makes a phenomenal Bluetooth volume knob that connects really well with the head unit, and that'll be available for purchase as well. So if you'd like to pick up your i509-WRA-JK for your Jeep or any other Alpine accessory for the Jeeps, please visit us at www.trail7.com, and until next time, I'll see you on the trails.